Admiral Park Min-soo stood on the bridge of the Incheon's Pride and watched the stars through the main viewing screen. 3 months had passed since humanity's first fleet left Earth's solar system. 12 ships now floated in space around a small planet that would become humanity's first home beyond Earth. The Korean Stellar Command had chosen him to lead this mission because he was careful and smart. Park knew that one wrong choice could mean death for all 3,000 people under his command. The new soul drive made faster than light travel possible, but it was still dangerous. Dr. Kim Tae-ho had spent 20 years creating the technology that brought them here. Now they were further from Earth than any human had ever been. Park felt the weight of history on his shoulders every day. Captain Lee Dong-wook walked up to him with a serious look on his face. Lee commanded the fleet's most powerful warship, and Park trusted his judgment in military matters. The two men had served together for 15 years and understood each other without many words. "Admiral, we have a situation," Lee said quietly so the other crew members could not hear. "Communications Officer Kim Yoo-jin picked up something strange 20 minutes ago. You need to hear this." Park followed Lee to the communication station where Kim Yoo-jin sat with headphones covering her ears. She looked up when they approached and her eyes showed excitement mixed with fear. "Sir, I have been monitoring all frequencies since we arrived," Kim said. "Most of what I hear is just static from space, but this is different. It repeats every few minutes and it sounds like someone is trying to talk." She pressed a button and strange sounds filled the air around them. Park heard what sounded like words, but in no language he recognized. The voice seemed desperate and afraid. "How long have you been receiving this?" Park asked. "About an hour, sir, but the signal is getting weaker. I think whoever is sending it is moving away from us or their power is failing." Dr. Yoon-nari hurried over from her station. She was the fleet's best language expert and had learned 12 Earth languages before joining the mission. If anyone could understand alien speech, it would be her. "This is not random noise," Yoon said after listening for several minutes. "There are patterns here. Someone is definitely trying to communicate. Give me some time and I might be able to figure out what they are saying." Commander Choi Min-ae joined the group. She was Park's tactical officer and always thought about dangers first. "Admiral, this could be a trap. We know nothing about who lives in this part of space. They might be trying to trick us into coming closer so they can attack." Park nodded. Choi was right to be careful, but something about the voice made him think the speaker was in real trouble. "Dr. Yoon, how much time do you need?" "At least several hours, maybe more. This is completely different from any Earth language. I have to start from the beginning and look for basic patterns." Lieutenant Colonel Bae Hyun-woo stepped forward. He commanded the fleet's marine forces and was always ready for a fight. "Sir, if this is a distress call, we should help. That is what Earth would want us to do." "And if it is a trap, we could lose everything," Choi replied. "We are the only humans out here. If something happens to us, Earth will not know for months." Park looked at each officer. They were all good people trying to do the right thing, but they disagreed about what that meant. The decision was his to make, and he would have to live with the results. "Dr. Yoon, you have 6 hours," he said finally. "Work with Kim and see what you can learn. Choi, I want all ships ready for anything. If this is trouble, I want to be prepared." The next few hours passed slowly. Yoon and Kim worked together trying to understand the alien message while the rest of the fleet waited. Park walked around the ship talking to his crew and thinking about what they might be facing. Engineer Specialist Oh Jin-ae was checking the weapons systems when Park found her. She was young but very skilled with technology. "Everything working properly?" Park asked. "Yes, sir. All weapons are ready, and our shields are at full power. But Admiral, I have been thinking about something. Our ships were built to fight other human ships. We have no idea what alien weapons might do to us." Park had been thinking the same thing. Human technology was good, but they were alone in unknown space, facing unknown dangers. Dr. Han So-young was in the medical bay preparing supplies. As the fleet's doctor and scientist, she would be responsible for treating any injuries and studying any aliens they might meet. "Are you ready for first contact?" Park asked her. "As ready as anyone can be, sir. I have been reading everything we know about the possibility of alien life. The problem is we know almost nothing. They might be completely different from us." Captain Lim Jae-sung called from the bridge. His ship, the Busan Striker, was the fastest. in the fleet. Admiral, you need to hear this. Dr. Yoon says she has something. Park hurried back to find Yoon looking excited but also worried. She had filled several screens with notes and symbols. Admiral, I think I understand part of the message, she said. It is definitely a distress call. Someone is asking for help. They mentioned something that might be their name and coordinates that could be their location. Are you sure? Park asked. Not completely, but I am confident enough to recommend action. Sir, I think they are dying. The message is getting weaker and there are long pauses between transmissions. Captain Lee crossed his arms. Even if it is real, we still do not know anything about who is sending it or why they are in trouble. We could be walking into a war. Or, we could be letting someone die when we have the power to help, Colonel Bay replied. Park looked at the star map showing the coordinates Yoon had found. The location was 2 days away at maximum speed. If they went there, they would be even further from Earth and any hope of quick return. Major Song Yoon-ji spoke up from her intelligence station. Sir, I have been analyzing the signal strength and direction. Based on the data, I think the sender is on a ship, not a planet. That suggests they might be travelers like us. Communications Officer Kim suddenly held up her hand. Wait, everyone be quiet. The signal just got much stronger. A new voice came through the speakers. This one was clearer and spoke for almost a minute before cutting off completely. That was different, Yoon said. The first voice was asking for help, but this second voice was giving information. I heard what might be numbers and something that could be a warning. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood that they had just witnessed something historic. This was humanity's first contact with intelligent alien life, and it was happening in the form of a desperate call for help. Park made his decision. All ships prepare to jump to the coordinates Dr. Yoon provided. We leave in 1 hour. If someone needs help, we will do what we can to give it. Choi looked unhappy but nodded. Yes, sir. I will have all weapons ready. As the crew prepared for their first real journey into the unknown, Park stood alone looking at the stars. In 1 hour, they would jump toward an alien distress call. They might find friends or enemies or something completely unexpected, but they would not ignore someone's cry for help. The 12 ships of humanity's first interstellar fleet powered up their soul drives and prepared to answer the call from the darkness of space. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel and immediately found themselves in the middle of a battle zone. Broken pieces of ships floated everywhere, and Admiral Park could see explosions in the distance where someone was still fighting. All ships' battle stations, Park ordered. Shields up and weapons ready, but do not fire unless fired upon. Captain Lee's voice came over the communication system from his ship. Admiral, I count at least 30 destroyed vessels out there. Whatever happened here was big. Dr. Yoon worked quickly at her station, trying to pick up any signals from the survivors. I am getting multiple transmissions. Some are definitely the same language we heard before, but there are others too. I think several different groups are out here. Commander Choi studied her tactical display. Sir, I am detecting 7 ships about 50,000 kilometers away. They appear to be damaged and moving very slowly. I also see weapon signatures from further out, but I cannot identify the source. Take us closer to the damaged ships, Park decided, but stay ready to jump away if this turns bad. As they moved closer, the alien ships became clearer on the viewing screen. They were beautiful in a strange way, with curved surfaces and what looked like crystal windows. But they were clearly hurt with dark sections where weapons had hit them. Lieutenant, Colonel Bay pointed at the largest alien ship. Admiral, that one is trying to signal us. I can see lights flashing in a pattern. Kim Yoo-jin nodded from her station. I am receiving a transmission directed at us. Dr. Yoon, the language is the same as the distress call, but this sounds different. More formal, maybe. Yoon listened carefully, then looked up with excitement. Admiral, I think they are trying to welcome us. The tone is much calmer than the distress call. They might think we are here to help. Open a channel, Park ordered. Let me try to communicate. The main screen changed to show the inside of an alien ship. Park found himself looking at a creature unlike anything he had ever imagined. It was tall and thin with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. When it spoke, its voice was musical and strange. Dr. Yoon translated as best she could. Admiral, I think it said something like "Greetings, unknown ones," and asked if we came because of their call for help. Park stepped forward and spoke slowly. "We received your distress signal. We came to help if we can." He hoped his peaceful tone would come through even if the words did not make sense. The alien seemed to understand something because it moved in what might have been relief. It spoke for several minutes while Yoon tried to follow along. "This is difficult, but I think it is thanking us and saying its name is something like Veltar. It also mentioned that others are coming who are dangerous." Suddenly, warning signals began sounding throughout the human fleet. Major Song called out from her station. "Admiral, multiple ships are jumping in. Big ones." 12 massive vessels appeared on the edge of the battle zone. They were dark and angular with weapon ports covering their surfaces. Even without knowing anything about alien technology, Park could tell these ships were built for war. The alien called Veltar became very excited and spoke quickly. Yoon's face went pale as she listened. "Admiral, it says those ships belong to something called the Hegemony. They are the ones who destroyed the other ships. They are coming back to finish the job." "All ships defensive formation," Park ordered. "Protect the damaged alien vessels." Captain Lee's voice was grim over the communications. "Admiral, those ships are each 3 times the size of our largest vessel. If they want to fight, we are in serious trouble." The Hegemony ships moved slowly toward the human fleet. As they got closer, their size became even more frightening. Each one could probably carry thousands of warriors and enough weapons to destroy planets. Dr. Han So-young had been quietly studying readings from the alien ships. "Admiral, I am getting some very strange data. These aliens seem to be terrified of us, not just afraid of our weapons, but afraid of what we are." "What do you mean?" Park asked. "I cannot be sure, but their heart rates and other signs suggest they think we are extremely dangerous. More dangerous than those big Hegemony ships." Veltar was speaking again, and Yoon listened carefully. "Admiral, it is asking if we are really what it thinks we are. Something called Deathworlders. It sounds frightened to even say the word." Engineer Ojine looked up from her station. "Sir, the alien ships are scanning us very intensively. I think they are studying our technology and biology. The largest Hegemony ship sent a transmission toward the human fleet." The voice was harsh and threatening, even though Park could not understand the words. Yoon translated with difficulty. "It is demanding that we leave immediately or face destruction." It also said something about not interfering with their rightful prey. Park felt anger building inside him. These Hegemony creatures had attacked peaceful beings and now expected humans to just leave. That was not going to happen. "Open a channel to the Hegemony ships," he ordered. "Admiral, we do not know how to speak their language," Kim pointed out. "Then, let our actions speak for us. All ships target the lead Hegemony vessel. Fire a warning shot across their bow." The human fleet's weapons lit up space with brilliant energy beams. The shots missed the alien ship by exactly 1 kilometer, but the message was clear. The Hegemony ships responded immediately with their own weapons. Massive energy bolts reached out toward the human fleet, but struck their shields and bounced away, harmlessly. Captain Lim's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, their weapons are not as powerful as they look. Our shields are holding easily." Veltar was speaking rapidly to its crew, and Yoon was trying to follow. "Admiral, the alien says our shields should not be able to stop Hegemony weapons. They are confused about how we are still alive." Commander Choi checked her tactical display. "Sir, the Hegemony ships are spreading out. I think they are preparing for a real attack." "Then we give them one first," Park decided. "All ships target their weapons and engines. Disable, but do not destroy unless they force us to." The battle began in earnest as human ships moved with speed and precision that surprised everyone watching. The larger Hegemony vessels were powerful but slow, while the human fleet danced around them like fighters avoiding a bear. Lieutenant Colonel Bay coordinated the attack from his Marine Command Center. "Admiral, our targeting is working. We are taking out their weapon systems one by one." The Hegemony commander seemed shocked by human tactics. Its ships kept trying to use overwhelming firepower while the humans used movement and precision strikes. Within minutes, 2 of the massive alien vessels were drifting helplessly with their weapons destroyed. Dr. Han monitored the readings from both sets of aliens. "Admiral, I am getting incredible data. The peaceful aliens are amazed by what they are seeing. Their readings show they think we are doing something impossible." Veltar spoke again, and this time its tone was full of wonder. Yoon translated with growing amazement. "Admiral, it says we fight like the legends told them Deathworlders would fight. It wants to know if we really come from a world of death." "What does that mean?" Park asked, but before Yoon could answer, the tactical situation changed. The remaining hegemony ships decided to retreat. They fired one last barrage at the damaged alien vessels, but human ships intercepted every shot. Then, they jumped away, leaving the battle zone quiet except for floating debris. Park felt relief wash over him. "All ships report status." One by one, his captains reported minor damage but no serious injuries. The human fleet had won its first battle against unknown alien enemies and protected innocent beings in the process. Veltar was speaking continuously now, and Yoon struggled to keep up. "Admiral, it is asking permission to come aboard our ship. It wants to speak with us directly. It also says other survivors want to meet the Deathworlders who came to help them." Park looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They had just made contact with alien intelligence and fought their first interstellar battle. Now they were being invited to meet beings from another world. "Tell them yes," he decided. "We will meet with their representatives and try to understand what just happened here." As preparations began for the first face-to-face meeting between humans and aliens, Park wondered what they would learn about this galaxy they had entered and about humanity's place in it. The word Deathworlder kept echoing in his mind, and he had a feeling their adventure was just beginning. The alien shuttle approached the Inchen's Pride, carrying passengers that would change everything humans thought they knew about the universe. The meeting room aboard the Inchen's Pride had been hastily prepared for first contact with alien beings. Admiral Park sat across from three creatures who looked fragile and beautiful in ways that made him want to protect them. Veltar was the largest, but even he seemed delicate compared to any human. Dr. Yoon had worked for days to create a basic translation system, and now she could understand most of what the alien said. What she was learning made everyone nervous. Admiral Yoon said quietly, "They keep talking about Deathworlders like we are something from their worst nightmares. But they also seem grateful that nightmare creatures came to help them." Fleet Commander Nixandra was the highest-ranking alien survivor, and she spoke for all her people. Through Yoon, she explained that humans were the fourth Deathworlder species ever discovered in the galaxy. The others were called the Krill, the Vorthak, and the Draenei, Yoon translated. All of them became extinct or were destroyed by the hegemony. The aliens thought Deathworlders were myths until we showed up. Captain Lee sat beside Park and asked the question everyone was thinking. What exactly is a Deathworlder? Nixandra spoke for several minutes with growing animation. Yoon's eyes grew wide as she listened. "Admiral," she says, "Deathworlders come from planets so dangerous that evolution creates beings who can survive anything. Most intelligent species evolve on peaceful worlds with stable climates and few dangers. But some worlds are so hostile that only the strongest and most adaptable creatures can live there." Dr. Han leaned forward with interest. "That would explain why they seem so afraid of us. We must seem incredibly tough compared to them." "There is more," Yoon continued translating. "She says Earth matches the profile of a death world perfectly. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous animals, diseases, radiation from space. Most galactic species would die quickly on our planet." Commander Choi had been studying intelligence reports about the hegemony forces. "Sir, if we are so tough, why did the other Deathworlder species get destroyed?" Nixandra's response through Yoon was sobering. "The hegemony has been conquering the galaxy for thousands of years. They have weapons that can crack planets and fleets, numbering in the millions of ships. Even Deathworlders cannot fight numbers that large." Park felt the weight of responsibility growing heavier. If humanity was going to survive in this galaxy, they would need allies, and they would need to be very smart about how they used their advantages. Engineer Oh Jin-A had been studying the alien technology, and she presented her findings to the group. "Admiral, their ships are incredibly advanced but also incredibly fragile. Their weapons are more powerful than ours, but their hulls are weaker than paper. They have never needed strong armor because most species fight with energy weapons that their shields can stop. But our kinetic weapons go right through their shields, Captain Lee realized. That is why we could disable those hegemony ships so easily. Lieutenant Colonel Bay nodded grimly. And if their hulls are that weak, our Marines would cut through them like butter in boarding actions. No wonder they think we are monsters. Major Song had been analyzing all the data they had gathered about hegemony tactics and organization. Admiral, based on what we learned from the survivors, this was just a small raiding force. The main hegemony fleet has thousands of ships and they are already moving toward the core worlds of what these aliens call the Cytherian Alliance. Dr. Yoon translated more of Nixandra's explanation. The Cytherian Alliance is 7 species working together to resist the hegemony. They have been fighting a defensive war for 50 years, but they are losing. 3 of their colony worlds have already fallen. Park stood and walked to the window showing the alien fleet being repaired by human engineering teams. Dozens of species throughout the galaxy were depending on the Cytherian Alliance to hold back the hegemony tide. If the Alliance fell, the entire galaxy would be enslaved. What do they want from us, he asked. Nixandra spoke directly to Park and her tone was desperate. Yoon translated carefully. She is asking humanity to join the fight. She says Deathworlders are the only hope of stopping the hegemony advance. With human help, the Alliance might be able to launch an offensive instead of just defending. Captain Lim's voice came over the communication system from his ship. Admiral, we are getting reports from our long-range scouts. Multiple hegemony fleets are moving toward this sector. If we are going to make a decision, we need to make it soon. Park called his senior staff together for a private meeting. The aliens waited patiently while the humans discussed their options. We could run, Choi pointed. Out. Take our fleet back to Earth and warn them what is coming. Let humanity prepare defenses. And abandon an entire galaxy to slavery, Bay replied. That is not what humans do. Dr. Han had been studying the biological data from both species. Admiral, I think we have advantages these aliens do not understand. Our immune systems, our healing ability, our resistance to radiation and toxins. We are literally built for warfare in ways they never needed to be. Chief Engineer Kwon Seok-jin joined the meeting with technical data. Sir, I have been working with their engineers to understand their technology. If we combine their energy, shields with our armor and weapons, we could create ships that are nearly unstoppable. How long would that take? Park asked. Working around the clock with both human and alien crews, maybe 2 weeks for basic modifications. A month for complete integration. Park looked around the room at his officers. They were scared but determined, and he was proud of them. We are not running. If the hegemony wants to enslave this galaxy, they will have to go through humanity first. The preparation began immediately. Human engineers worked with alien technicians to modify both fleets. The aliens were amazed by human adaptability and willingness to work in dangerous conditions that would kill most galactic species. Dr. Yoon established communication protocols with 6 more species as refugees from destroyed worlds arrived seeking help. Each group brought more intelligence about hegemony operations and more desperate requests for human assistance. Tactical analyst Shin Bo-ra worked with Nixandra to plan offensive operations against hegemony forward bases. The aliens had always fought defensively, but humans specialized in taking the fight to their enemies. Colonel Park Ji-hoon trained mixed human and alien combat teams. The aliens could not match human physical capabilities, but they brought advanced sensors and energy weapons that complemented human tactics perfectly. Communications Officer Kim Yoo-jin created a secure network linking human and alien forces across 3 star systems. Intelligence flowed freely between species that had been strangers just days before. Captain Yu Min-ho of the Soul's Hammer conducted test battles using the new hybrid ships. The results exceeded everyone's expectations. Human durability combined with alien technology created vessels that could fight outnumbered and win. Diplomat Lee Soo-jin negotiated formal agreements between humanity and the Cytherian Alliance. In exchange for human military assistance, Earth would gain access to galactic technology and be granted membership in a reformed Galactic Council. Medical Officer Dr. Jang Mi-young prepared field hospitals and studied alien biology so she could treat wounded from multiple species. Her Earth medical training gave her skills that amazed alien doctors who had never dealt with trauma surgery. Intelligence specialist Ryu Tai-min coordinated spy networks throughout hegemony space. Human agents could survive in environments that would kill alien operatives, and their unpredictable thinking patterns made them nearly impossible for hegemony security to track. Flight Commander An Soo-jin trained mixed fighter squadrons combining human pilots with alien navigation systems. The hybrid fighters could outmaneuver anything the hegemony had, while delivering devastating attacks with human weapons and alien precision targeting. As the days passed, Park watched his small exploration fleet transform into the nucleus of a galactic resistance movement. Ships arrived daily carrying refugees and volunteers from dozens of worlds. The human outpost became a symbol of hope for beings who had known only fear for decades. But intelligence reports brought sobering news. The main hegemony fleet was massive beyond anything the Alliance had ever faced. Even with human help, victory would require perfect planning and tremendous sacrifice. On the final night before the combined fleet would jump toward their first major battle, Park stood alone on the observation deck. In 2 weeks, humanity had gone from exploring an empty star system to leading a galactic war against an empire thousands of years old. Tomorrow they would find out if Deathworld humans could really make a difference, or if they would join the other, extinct species in galactic history. Park was confident in his people, but he also understood they were facing something beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. The fleet was ready, and the galaxy was watching. It was time for humanity to announce its presence to the universe. Task Force Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kithros system, and immediately found itself facing the largest enemy fleet any human had ever seen. 200 hegemony warships hung in space around a massive star base that looked like a metal planet bristling with weapons. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the Inchin's Pride and studied the tactical display with growing concern. Even with their combined human and alien technologies, this would be the hardest battle humanity had ever fought. All ships report ready for combat, Captain Lee announced from the Soul's Hammer. The human vessels had been modified with Catherian shields and weapons while maintaining their superior armor and kinetic systems. They looked deadly and alien now, but Park knew they were still human at their core. Fleet Commander Nix Andra spoke from her flagship through the translation system Dr. Yoon had perfected. Admiral Park, the hegemony commander, is demanding our immediate surrender. War Admiral Thekron says he will spare our crews if we submit now. Tell him humanity does not know that word, Park replied coldly. Around the bridge, his officers smiled, with fierce pride. 3 months ago, they had been explorers, but now they were warriors defending an entire galaxy. The hegemony fleet began moving toward them with the slow confidence of predators who had never known defeat. Their ships were enormous and heavily armed, but they moved in the rigid formations typical of an empire that had conquered through overwhelming force, rather than tactical skill. Captain Yu Min-ho commanded the vanguard of hybrid human-alien vessels, and his voice crackled with excitement over the communication system. Admiral, their formations are perfect for what we discussed. They expect us to meet them head-on like every other species they have fought. Then let us show them why humans are different, Park ordered. All ships execute Battle Plan Typhoon. The human fleet scattered in 12 different directions while the alien ships began long-range bombardment with their energy weapons. To the hegemony observers, it must have looked like the smaller force was fleeing in panic. They were wrong. War Admiral Thekron's contemptuous voice came over the communication channel, speaking the galactic trade language that Dr. Yoon could translate. The Deathworld savages run like cowards when faced with real power. Pursue and destroy them before they can escape. The hegemony ships broke formation to chase individual human vessels, while their massive starbase continued firing long-range weapons. It was exactly what Park had hoped they would do. Now, he commanded. Captain Choi triggered the attack from her position aboard the Busan Striker. Human ships that had seemed to be running suddenly turned and accelerated directly toward their pursuers. At the same time, kinetic rounds fired from extreme range began arriving at the hegemony formation. The enemy shields deflected most energy, weapons easily, but they had never been designed to stop solid projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. Human railgun rounds punched through hegemony shields like they were not there, and tore massive holes in the lightly armored hulls beyond. Flight Commander On led her mixed fighter squadrons in precision strikes against the hegemony command ships, while Weapons Officer Nam coordinated devastating broadside attacks from the human capital ships. The enemy's numerical advantage meant nothing when their formations dissolved into chaos. Enemy ships are requesting retreat authorization, Major Song reported from her intelligence station. War Admiral Thekran is refusing and ordering them to maintain attack formation. Lieutenant Colonel Bay watched the tactical display with professional satisfaction. Their discipline is working against them. They cannot adapt when their standard tactics fail. The battle's turning point came when Captain Lee demonstrated the ruthless creativity that made humans so dangerous. His ship had taken severe damage to its engines and weapons, but instead of retreating, he did something no civilized species would ever attempt. "All ships, this is Sol's hammer," Lee announced calmly. "I am ramming the enemy command vessel. Continue the attack and make this count." Park wanted to order him to abort, but there was no time. Lee's crippled destroyer accelerated toward the massive hegemony flagship, using its remaining engine power and emergency chemical boosters that would burn out the ship's systems. The collision was spectacular. Sol's hammer struck the enemy ship just behind its main weapon array, and the kinetic energy from a 1,000-ton human warship moving at combat speed tore the larger vessel nearly in half. Both ships exploded in a ball of plasma that could be seen throughout the star system. War Admiral Thekran died in that explosion along with his entire command staff, and suddenly the hegemony fleet had no central leadership. Individual ship captains began making their own decisions, and most of those decisions involved running away as fast as possible. "All remaining enemy vessels are retreating toward the outer system," Commander Choi reported. "Should we pursue?" "Negative," Park decided. "Let them go. We have made our point." The Battle of Kithro Station was over in less than 3 hours. Of the 200 hegemony ships that had started the fight, only 40 escaped, and most of those were badly damaged. The humans had lost 2 ships with all hands, but they had achieved something the galaxy had thought impossible. Dr. Han worked frantically in the medical bay treating wounded from both human and alien crews. Her trauma surgery skills developed from Earth's dangerous environment allowed her to save lives that would have been lost by any other doctor in the galaxy. Combat engineer John Woo-Seok led boarding parties onto disabled hegemony vessels to gather intelligence and rescue prisoners. What they found was disturbing. The enemy warriors were genetically modified soldiers created for conquest with no capacity for mercy or retreat, Admiral Jun reported from the captured flagship. "These are not really soldiers in the human sense. They are more like biological weapons. I do not think negotiation with the hegemony is possible." Intelligence specialist Ryu studied the captured data and made an alarming discovery. "Sir, this was not their main fleet. According to these records, the hegemony has over 5,000 ships spread across this sector alone. We just fought their advanced scouts." The victory celebration that had begun throughout the Allied fleet died quickly as the implications became clear. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy by destroying a hegemony raiding force. But the real war was just beginning. Fleet Commander Nixandra requested permission to come aboard the human flagship, and when she arrived, her manner was completely different from their first meeting. Where before she had been desperate and frightened, now she showed something humans had never seen from her species. "Admiral Park," she said through Dr. Yoon's translation, "the Kitherian Alliance formally requests that humanity assume leadership of our military forces. You have demonstrated capabilities we did not know were possible." Park felt the burden of command growing heavier. "We are honored by your trust, but we are only one species. The hegemony has been conquering the galaxy for thousands of years." "Yes," Nixandra replied, "but they have never faced Deathworlders who fight with intelligence, as well as strength. Today you showed the galaxy that the hegemony can be beaten. That knowledge will spread to every oppressed world and every slave species." Communications Officer Kim interrupted with an urgent report. Admiral, I am receiving messages from 17 different star systems. Word of our victory is already spreading and resistance groups are asking for human support. Captain Lim reported from the damaged Busan Striker. Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements throughout hegemony space. They are not taking our victory lightly. Park looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They had volunteered for a simple exploration mission, but now they were leading a galactic rebellion against an empire that had seemed unstoppable. The responsibility was enormous, but so was the opportunity. Send a message to Earth, he decided. Tell them we have made contact with galactic civilization, and we are at war. Request immediate reinforcements and full mobilization. Also send all the technical data we have gathered about alien technology. Major Song looked up from her station with concern. Admiral, the nearest hegemony response fleet will arrive here in 6 days. If we stay, we will face odds of at least 10 to 1. Then we do not stay, Park replied. We take this fleet and hit them somewhere they do not expect. The hegemony has ruled through fear for so long, they have forgotten how to deal with enemies who are not afraid. As Task Force Vengeance prepared to leave the Kithros system, Park knew they had crossed a line from which there could be no return. Humanity was now committed to a galactic war against an enemy that numbered its ships in the millions and its conquered worlds in the thousands. But they had also proven something important. The hegemony could be beaten and humanity would not bow to tyrants no matter how powerful they claimed to be. The galaxy had new protectors, and they came from a world of death where only the strong survived. The war for galactic freedom had begun, and Earth's children were leading the fight. 6 months after the Battle of Kithros Station, the galaxy was a very different place. News of humanity's victory had spread to every corner of known space, and the hegemony empire that had ruled through fear for millennia suddenly found rebellion, breaking out on dozens of worlds. Admiral Park stood in the command center of New Sol Station, humanity's first major base outside Earth's solar system. Through the massive viewing windows, he could see ships from 30 different species working together to build defenses and plan attacks against their common enemy. Ambassador Kang Hye-won had arrived from Earth 3 months ago with the first wave of reinforcements, and she brought disturbing news from home. Admiral, the politicians on Earth are divided about our involvement here. Some want us to expand our territory and create a human empire, while others think we should focus on defending Earth itself. What does the president want? Park asked. She supports your decisions, but there is growing pressure to recall the fleet. The people are scared about humanity getting involved in a galactic war we might not be able to win. Dr. Yoon looked up from her communication station where she was coordinating with resistance groups across 17 star systems. Admiral, we cannot abandon these people now. Every day we delay gives the hegemony more time to bring their full strength against us. Supreme Commander Go Chang-ho had come with the reinforcements and brought unwelcome orders from Earth Command. Admiral, you are to establish secure positions and wait for the arrival of the main battle fleet. No more offensive operations until we have overwhelming superiority. Park studied the tactical displays showing hegemony fleet movements throughout the sector. Sir, with respect, that strategy will not work. The enemy is regrouping faster than we anticipated. If we give them 6 months to prepare, they will have forces we cannot match even with Earth's full fleet. Captain Moon Ju-won entered the command center with intelligence reports from her deep reconnaissance missions. What she had discovered behind hegemony lines was both shocking and heartbreaking. Admiral Y have been to their core worlds, she said quietly. The hegemony is not just an empire built on conquest. Their home system is dying. Their star is becoming unstable and their planets are being evacuated. They need new worlds to survive as a species. Xenopsychologist Dr. Seo Min-kyu had been studying captured hegemony personnel for months, and his findings supported Moon's report. The hegemony warriors are not evil in the way we understand it. They are desperate. Their entire culture has been shaped by the knowledge that their species will become extinct unless they find new homes. That does not excuse genocide, Lieutenant, Colonel Bay pointed out. They have destroyed entire civilizations to make room for themselves. No, it does not, Park agreed. But it means this war will not end with military victory alone. We need to find a solution that allows all species to survive. Fleet Commander Nixandra had become Park's closest alien advisor, and she brought troubling news from the Catherian Alliance Council. Admiral, some of our member species are questioning human leadership. They say Deathworlders are too aggressive and will destroy the galaxy trying to save it. General Hong Sang-woo commanded the growing Terran Defense Corps, and he disagreed strongly with the Alliance concerns. Admiral, these alien species have been losing this war for 50 years using defensive strategies. Now that we are winning, with offensive tactics they want us to stop. The debate was interrupted by urgent signals from the early warning network. Major Song studied the incoming data with growing alarm. Admiral, massive hegemony fleet jumping in at the outer system boundary. I count over 300 ships, including at least 6 of their planet crackers. Park felt his stomach drop. Planet crackers were the hegemony's ultimate weapons, vessels capable of literally destroying entire worlds. If they were bringing those ships to this battle, it meant they intended to end the human threat permanently. All ships, battle stations, he ordered. Send word to every allied fleet in the sector. This is the fight we have been preparing for. Captain Lee had survived the Battle of Kithros and now commanded the newest human dreadnought INS Determination. His voice was steady over the communication system. Admiral, the human fleet stands ready. We have 47 ships of various classes, all equipped with the latest hybrid technology. The Allied fleet that assembled to face the hegemony assault included vessels from 19 different species, but it was still outnumbered almost 4-1. Park knew this battle would determine the future of galactic civilization. Open a channel to the hegemony command ship, he ordered. The alien face that appeared on the screen was different from the warriors they had fought before. This creature was older and more intelligent, with eyes that showed both wisdom and terrible desperation. I am Overlord Krexoth, the alien said in perfect galactic standard. You are the human admiral who has caused such trouble for my empire. I offer you one chance to surrender and spare your species the fate of the other Deathworlders. I am Admiral Park Min-soo of the Terran Fleet. Park replied calmly. I offer you the same chance. Surrender now and we will help you find a peaceful solution to your species' survival needs. Krexoth's laugh was bitter and full of pain. You offer help to the species that has conquered half the galaxy. Do you truly believe such a thing is possible? I believe anything is possible if people are willing to talk instead of fight, Park answered. But if you insist on war, then humanity will finish what your people started. The Overlord studied Park for a long moment with those ancient eyes. You are not what I expected from a Deathworlder. Very well, human admiral. Let us see if your species fights as well as the legends claim. The battle for the new Sol system began with the largest space engagement in galactic history. Human ships used their superior mobility and adaptability, while Allied vessels provided long-range fire support and electronic warfare capabilities. Combat Engineer Jun led boarding actions against disabled hegemony vessels, while Flight Commander coordinated fighter strikes that seemed to be everywhere at once. The human talent for improvisation and aggressive tactics continually surprised enemies who had fought the same way for thousands of years. But the hegemony had numbers and desperation on their side. As the battle continued, human ships began taking serious damage and casualties mounted among both human and alien crews. The turning point came when Dr. Han made an unexpected discovery while treating wounded hegemony prisoners. Admiral, their biology is more fragile than we realized. The genetic modifications that make them such fierce warriors also make them vulnerable to diseases that would not affect natural beings. Are you suggesting biological warfare? Park asked with distaste. Not warfare, Han replied. Medicine. I think I can create a treatment that would reverse their genetic modifications and allow them to survive in normal environments. If their desperation comes from their inability to live on peaceful worlds, this might solve everything. The battle raged for 18 hours before Overlord Krexoth requested a ceasefire. His fleet had been reduced to less than half strength, and the human alliance was also badly damaged but still fighting. Admiral Park, the Overlord said wearily. My people are dying and yours refuse to be conquered. Perhaps it is time to consider alternatives to endless war. Park looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were exhausted, and many bore wounds from the battle, but their determination remained unshaken. Overlord Krexoth, I propose, we meet in person and discuss terms that might allow both our species to survive. The negotiation that followed took place on a neutral space station and involved representatives from dozens of species. Dr. Seo's psychological analysis proved crucial in understanding hegemony motivations, while Dr. Han's medical breakthrough offered hope for a biological solution. The final agreement shocked the entire galaxy. The hegemony would cease all military operations and begin withdrawing from conquered territories. In exchange, humanity would share terraforming technology and Dr. Han's genetic therapy to help hegemony citizens adapt to new worlds without needing to displace other species. Colonial Administrator Baek Yun-ho was placed in charge of the massive resettlement program that would relocate billions of beings over the next decade. It was the largest humanitarian effort in galactic history, and it established humanity as the mediator between species that had been enemies for generations. Captain Lee, now Admiral Lee, commanded the first mixed-species fleet with ships crewed by humans, Catherians, reformed hegemony citizens, and a dozen other races. Their mission was to explore the galaxy beyond the old borders and establish new colonies where all species could live in peace. Dr. Yoon became humanity's premier diplomat and established the Galactic Communication Protocol that allowed instant translation between any known languages. Her work made possible the cooperation that transformed former enemies into allies. The final scene of humanity's first galactic war took place on New Harmony, a world jointly colonized by humans and reformed hegemony citizens. Park, now an older man but still sharp, stood with Overlord Krexoth watching human and alien children play together in schools built by both species. "I never imagined this would be possible," Krexoth admitted. "When we first learned of Deathworlders, we thought they would be our destruction. Instead, you became our salvation."